All right, we should be live. Isn't DPZ Domino's? Yeah, get a little block trade here on Domino's. That thing's been running for the past month or so. That blue pivot at 458 was pretty clean. Yeah, that thing's been kicking ass. Look at the weekly on Domino's. That's actually really interesting. Look at Domino's. It had nearly no COVID dump. You can't even find this is the COVID dump right here, and you can barely even see it on the chart. What a beast of a stock! Look at that thing. People were loving pizza during COVID. Facts, yeah. I'm telling you, dude, look at the weekly chart. If you didn't know exactly like what date COVID was, you could not find the COVID drop on this chart. It is probably one of the most immune charts I've seen to COVID. Hey, Andre, what's going on? We had a guy in Discord. He doesn't come around much anymore, but he owned a few pizza joints in Florida, and he was struggling a little bit, but it was mainly he was struggling because of the worker issue, not the COVID issue. Hey, Gars, you said there are rumors that Germany can go into lockdown mode next. I wonder what is a good entry point on WTI oil. Let's take a look. WTI looks like it pretty much follows CL for the most part. We can honestly just look at CL, crude oil, and crude has a pretty obvious like inverse head and shoulders back here that we kind of broke out of. So once you break out of that, basically the top of that area is always a lot of support. So whenever we come back down to like 74 or $70, that would be a lot of support on crude. The thing about crude is we're breaking the uptrend and then we're putting in a lower high. And then we're breaking the support. So it's definitely a little weak here. Like if you were looking at this just on a like candlestick viewpoint, you would draw a trend line like this. You would take maybe a range kind of like this here. And then look at what we're doing. We're losing the trend, pulling back, losing the 50, losing the range low, right? So until we reclaim that range low, I wouldn't be bullish on oil. Hey, Neds, you said you just found your channel today. Very useful information, subbed and notifications on. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that a lot. If you just found my channel, the first thing I recommend doing is going to the How to Trade playlist on YouTube. And there are a ton of videos in there. I think we're close to 30 videos at this point. So if you want to learn more about the techniques that I use on stream or just any techniques that would help you in your trading, make sure to check that out. And then I do stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. And we also release a weekly watch list every Sunday around 4 p.m. Eastern. So for any of you guys that are new to my content, that is our basic schedule. Thoughts on Myrna? Myrna had good news recently. with Fauci was on mainstream. He was on mainstream news talking about how people should get their boosters and get their vaccine if they want to see their family during Thanksgiving and if they want to hang out inside without mask and stuff like that. So that seemed like it had a very good impact on Myrna today. They might have had some other smaller news, but I think that was the leading factor. Looking at Myrna right now, it is pulling back and retesting the 200 EMA, and the 200 EMA is bearish. We are retesting it bearishly. So until we can reclaim like 285, maybe even this gap area right here, it's not looking too good. I personally have not traded vaccine companies since like the start of COVID. They're just too volatile. They're too news driven. I hate trading stocks that are news driven. Hey, Gift, what's going on? Hey, Jaga, you said S&P 1 hour chart indicating distribution from the top. Big fall possible from 4,700 to 4,500 in a few days. I do agree that we are getting a little bearish up here and we do need to push away from this level as soon as possible. What I do like is we are putting in kind of a flat top and we are consolidating under that flat top. We also had a nice hammer candle yesterday. So it does look like it wants to go higher, but I do agree that if we hang out here for much longer, a big drop is possible. We should have seen a breakout today. I think Friday, I think because it's Friday is probably the only reason we did not break out. A lot of people do not like buying going into the weekend. So scary thing is going into Monday. Monday is the worst day of the week. So we could see a little bit of a sell-off from the high on Monday. But we really need to break through this high, like 470, I'd say by Wednesday, or it's going to start getting a little scary, especially if you look at IWM and Dow Jones. IWM typically leads the sell-offs. So if IWM sells off, it takes about 5 days to a week for S&P to catch up, and then it starts to sell off. And the IWM, the Russell, has been selling off for 11 days. So that's a little worrying. We are retesting a lot of support on IWM. We're retesting a lot of support on Dow Jones as well. But if they don't bounce out of this range, then once again, I do think we could sell off. One of the main things keeping us up is the historical price chart. Historically, November and December are two of the best months of the year. They are typically up only. You have a few pullbacks here and there, but very, very small pullbacks. And SPY has been respecting the historical price chart for the past 6 months. You could even say the whole year. Yeah, Andre, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's bouncing right off that level that I gave you guys, the 55,800. That is the POC of the original range. So bouncing off that level is very clear support. If we can hold above that level, you could get a bounce into 60,800 or even around 63.3. But if it breaks below that level, you don't have a whole lot of support until 52.8. So that is a key level you want to keep an eye on. Basically, the low of day is the exact level. Appreciate that, boss. Hey, Gift, I'm not sure if I mentioned you earlier. What's going on? Can I check the 1 hour on S&P? So I don't use that style of technique. You're talking about a Wyckoff style of trading. I'm familiar with his patterns. I have kind of changed his patterns into my own techniques. I don't use exactly his patterns, but I can take a look. So my version of distribution here would be this is an impulse up, therefore we are distributing. So I would take the high, and I would take the low where we started to bounce. This creates the distribution range. And then all of these levels after the 2 points are tradable levels. So we have the tap there, the tap there, tap there. This is the sell zone. So until we're out of this zone, we do have kind of some seller resistance. What I don't like here is this kind of double top. But what I do like is this point here did not give you a full rotation. So we created the high, we created the low, we retested the high. Now, if we retested the high like that, we should have seen a full rotation all the way to the downside. We did not get a full rotation. It bounced off the 50%. So this is pretty bullish, this mid-range bounce here. But this sell-off here is not. So because we did not get a full rotation and we bounced off the 50%, then therefore we should be breaking the high. But we're not breaking the high. So we're getting kind of conflicting evidence here. Bullish evidence, bearish evidence, right? Now, because we're in a distribution, this is a sell the high range. So you don't really want to be buying here. If we see some buy pressure above the high, or maybe a retest of the high, then those are buying opportunities. But you do not want to be a buyer up here. This is historically a bad trade. He said, what about ICT kill zones using the market sessions open and close as tipping points for the next session, or a break high low, or trade against major moves? So I'm not too familiar with his techniques. I've seen what I've seen on Twitter, but I've never taken his courses or anything. I've heard a lot of conflicting evidence about him. I've heard that his stuff is bullshit, his stuff works, so I don't really know too much about it. But taking what you said using the market's sessions open and close as tipping points. I'm guessing you mean on the day. So if we looked at like a low time frame, we started the day, what is today, the 19th? So you're looking at the open and close. This would be the open. And the close we don't have currently. So we can't use that data. But if we're looking at the open, the daily open, today would be, I guess you would lean kind of bearish. Because you tried to break away from the open, and then you lost the open, and now we are putting in a lower high and trying to lose the open again. So if you're doing that kind of analysis, then yes, I think you would kind of lean bearish. Another thing you could do, something that you guys should be familiar with if you're familiar with my channel, you could take the first hour of the day. That's your initial balance, right? So we could grab the initial balance high, the initial balance low. We could grab the POC as well. And we can kind of see how price is reacting to this initial balance. We did break out of it, which was quite bullish, but then we retraced all the way through it. So once again, it's a leaning kind of bearish here. We need to be above the initial balance high, which is around 470, for you to be bullish. Yeah, I covered Bitcoin a little bit earlier. Mainly Bitcoin is just retesting a support. You're retesting the range low here. You're actually reclaiming it. And then you're retesting a very important level, which is the POC of the old distribution. So we have the distribution here, the accumulation here. This accumulation is what gave us that bottom signal way back here in September. And then the distribution here gave us a few breakout signals, and now it's giving us a support test. So as long as we hold on to 558, it should be fairly, it should be a fairly bullish bounce, but it's not completely bullish just yet. Take a look at Telcoin. Let's take a look. It looks like it's not doing too much. It's very similar to, what was it? Was it, I think it was Doge. Has a very similar chart to Doge, where you had that massive mainstream media hype and you ripped, and then you just basically sold off from there and kind of went into an accumulation. So we're definitely accumulating here. You could take this kind of as a range. Actually, let's go to our other chart. It'll be a little easier. You could take this kind of as a range. And you could take it a few ways. You could take the entire range here, which would be probably a little big. Or you could take the range kind of like this. And you could figure these were deviations. I think both of them are okay. I'm actually going to go with this one. I think this one's proper. Because my technique, you typically want to be going with the low, and then wherever the low started to sell off. So the low started to sell off here. So that's where I'd kind of pull the range from. So this is our impulse, this is our retrace, and then this is our accumulation. Now, it's kind of leaning slightly bullish because you have not been able to get into the bottom of the range here. Let me put this on log. It's going to be a little better here. But you're not able to get in the bottom of the range. So seeing that this is holding on to the middle of the range as support, it's pretty bullish. But as we can see, the buyers are not strong above 2.3 cents. Because every time it tries to break that level, it sells off. Even with strong volume, it sells off. So, yes, you could probably be a little safe buying around the 50, maybe even buying a dip below the 50. You probably should be safe buying down here, but you're not safe buying up here. Because every time we push, it gets sold off. So buying up here, historically, as the chart is showing us, is not good. If it does break out of this level and hold, then you could probably target somewhere around here, which is kind of where we failed earlier. The reason I pulled that level is because you had support and resistance on that same level. And that resistance led to a massive sell-off. ENJ looks nice. Let's take a look. Oh, it's actually a clean chart. It does look nice. You're not wrong. Very clean bull flag. We could take a Fibonacci here and see where our targets are. Yeah, very nice pullback. Very nice pullback on the 382, breaking out. If it gets through 396, you should be able to get 486. Very clean chart. Typically when it holds the 382, that means the breakout is going to be pretty strong. Yeah, I like that chart a lot. Is our bot in a long? Yeah, the bot's in a weekly buy, in a daily buy. Yeah, it looks good. Buy the dip signals on the OTS. You're breaking through a pivot. Pretty clean. Which indicator that you're using colors the candles that way? I think you're referring to the trading suite. So if I turn my other indicators off, oops. This is the trading suite. If you have, or if you see the dotted line, or the triangles, or the pivot, or the candle coloring, it's all from this indicator. And then this is the Ichimoku cloud, so the black line and then the cloud. And then I also have the 200 EMA. And then I have the Momo on the bottom. Appreciate that, Dev. Gift said, do you watch the initial balance first hour zone as the daily settlement range? Once initial balance is broken, look for yesterday's data, high, low. So I'm actually not a big initial balance guy. I was just teaching you guys how to do it back when I was using it almost every day. I was just kind of using that as a teaching tool. I don't really use it very much in my trading. I much prefer to do the other techniques that I taught you guys, where you... We have the session volume here, where you use the session volume. I much prefer to use the session volume as my levels. So instead of using the initial balance of today, I would just use the value levels of yesterday as my key levels to watch. The only time I really use initial balance is if I'm trying to take scalps like really early in the morning, which I haven't been doing lately, so... Yeah, so fortunate. It's really hard to do it in the commodities market because it's almost 24 hours a day. But from what I've seen from other forex traders and other commodities traders, they still only take the first hour. And it's the first hour of whenever the daily candle is resetting. So even though it's a market that's almost 24/7, same thing with crypto. You take the first hour of the new daily candle, even though it's technically 24/7 market. But it doesn't really help you that much because it's 1/24 of the entire day. You know what I mean? So it's not very helpful, to be honest. Yeah, Richard, I can take a look. Looks like sand is on a massive breakout. This gives you a very easy Fibonacci. You just take the Fibonacci from the low to the high. This gives you a beautiful pullback into the buy zone. And then now we are triggering our targets. So the trigger would be 382. The targets would be 484 and 516. And then your next targets would be 622, 657, and 790. Very, very simple Fibonacci trade here. Yeah, exactly, Gift. You can use initial balance for scalping for sure. Hey, Noxy, you said, is it a good entry for Clove? Almost at an all-time low. Good prospects. So I never try to use that as my thought process. If something is at an all-time low, it's at an all-time low for a reason. So I never try to think because it's at an all-time low, it must be a good price. That thought process will get you buried very quickly. But I'll take a look at the chart. What's I'm guessing you're asking about the stock. This is a SPAC, I believe. Isn't it a SPAC? It either was a SPAC or it still is a SPAC. But yeah, this does not look very good. You sold off pretty strong. You lost the recent supports. So in all honesty, I would not think this was even slightly bullish unless we put in a massive bull div on the daily or the weekly, or until we reclaimed at least like $6.50, $7. Yeah, this is almost a perfect example of the charts that I try not to trade. That's right, Sab. Yeah, this was a SPAC by Chamath. Can I check out FAR Resources? What are their tickers? Give me the tickers. Much easier to look up than the names. our portfolio was doing really well today. They were all green, and now we're getting a little bit of a pullback. A lot of my longer term stuff is starting to pull back. So Coupang is actually a chart that looks a lot like the chart that we just discussed. And I actually went against what I just said. I actually bought this at all-time low. So I'm kind of being a hypocrite in this case. We bought Coupang around 26. It was like 26, 26.50, somewhere around there. And we were looking for a $30 target, which we did get. I did not close my shares at 30, but we did sell $30 calls, which we collected full premium. I am looking to hold on to these shares and most likely sell some more premium moving forward. But because I'm breaking my rules on this chart and I'm buying it as such a dog shit chart, that's why I'm selling premium. I would never take that as a naked trade. You can see all the other charts in my portfolio are very similar charts. They're all kind of uptrending. This one is an accumulation that kind of pulled back. We were actually green on this for quite some time. But yeah, all these other charts are very bullish. Minus PayPal. PayPal's hurting us a little bit. So usually if I'm buying things that are downtrending, they need to be accumulating in one way or another. As you can see, Coinbase, I actually bought this on IPO. We just held on to it. I would have added it during the accumulation, but just decided not to. But you can see these charts are very similar. So I either trade accumulation charts or I trade uptrending charts, bullish charts. Dixie is a very good example of my accumulation pattern that I take. We took this way back in March. So way back here. And we've held on to it ever since. And it was because it was putting in a big bull div on the higher time frames, and it was bottoming out. It was accumulating. It came in for a double bottom. We added onto our contracts, and now we're sitting over 50% in profit. So if it is a chart that is bottoming out or like it's just nuking, it needs to be finding some kind of support. I'm not just going to trade it blindly. Damn, Facebook pulled all the way back. That sucks. This is one of our biggest gainers today. Aurora is running. Keep an eye on Aurora here, going for a second run. Little flat top on the 5-minute. Big block trades coming in. This is one that King gave the Discord yesterday, and it's up 42% today. A really good call by King. Sol USDT. So Sol actually, let's actually show the perp here. The perp has a beautiful pivot test. There's two pivots here. There's the pivot on September 9th and the pivot on October 23rd. Both of these pivots are acting as very key support here. This pullback is pulling back into very key support. If it can hold here, very likely we'll go back into an all-time high. But if it breaks these pivots, it could go back down to like 160. Yeah, oil's not looking too good. Oil will probably have a pullback. You can see it's completely lost long-term and short-term momentum. 4-hour has completely lost the 200 EMA. You even retested and sold off. You have a lot of talks with Biden and OPEC trying to get them to increase the supply in the market. It's been on such a run lately that it would not surprise me if you had a little bit of a weekly pullback. Lithium and graphite sectors are hot. Yeah, I'm trading SQM currently, my lithium play. They're my favorite lithium company. Getting a little toppy here, might pull back and fill the gap. They did have kind of bad earnings, which is pulling them back. But this weekly chart is beautiful. You almost made... Did you? No, you just barely missed all-time high. That's actually where we topped out, his all-time high. But look at this triangle breakout here. Just a beautiful breakout. Doesn't have the momentum yet to keep going, but this pullback should help it out. Yeah, for sure, man. It's actually funny. I was looking at my YouTube statistics yesterday, and for the first time in many, many months, that volume profile video, that's my number one watched video, it wasn't my number one watched video for the past like 48 hours. My order flow video on Exo charts is actually starting to blow up, and that is my number one video. So that was very interesting seeing that that video is finally starting to die out a little bit. That's how most of you guys found my channel, actually. I think more than half my subscribers found me based on that one video. That shows you how strong the YouTube algorithm is. Yeah, these are more penny stock plays, playa. There are a lot of penny stock, graphite, lithium, commodity stocks that could massively go up over the next few years, but it's a penny stock play, right? It's a very risky investment. But yeah, we actually played a lot of these. If you guys were in the Discord back in January, we played a shit ton of penny stocks that were lithium based. I can't remember a lot of them off the top of my head, but we were making a killing on those things. It was like 100% a day on those videos, or on those lithium plays. So yeah, I think if you want some very high risk exposure to the lithium market, I think you definitely can get involved in some lithium penny stocks. I would just make sure they haven't run an astronomical amount. Like this one's already run a lot. Like what is this from the bottom? It's up 1100%. So I would probably find some that haven't run so much if you want some higher risk, but I wouldn't be throwing like my whole account into it, obviously. That's how you guys found me. Yeah, a lot of you guys found me on that video. It's funny, that video, I haven't checked anymore, but recently it was one of the first pop-ups on Google, like when people would Google volume profile. So we were getting the Google algorithm and we were getting the YouTube algorithm. I don't know how that video hit the algorithm so well. I don't really do much in that video that I don't do in my other ones. It just somehow caught that algorithm and took off. How's SPY doing on VWAP here? Little bearish. Putting in kind of a double bottom here, but failing VWAP. What about Zen? Zen the stock? Isn't there a Zen coin too? The stock is not looking too good. You can kind of see like right here, not perfect, but we have that kind of range low, retested, nuked. So really until you reclaim like 130, that's pretty bad. We are coming back into a lot of support though. A lot of support right here. You see the high, high, another high, and then we had that low flip. So you had the low flip and then massive boom. So there's a big level right there at 93, 94 where we're currently testing. So if we can bounce off that weekly level, could be the bottom, but it's looking pretty weak going into that level. Oh, you're talking about the coin. Yeah, I knew there was a coin and a stock. Let's see. This one is not as clean as the stock, a lot choppier. First thing I notice is this very obvious trend line here. That's a very clean trend. Second thing I noticed is you have a lot of resistance up here. Another thing I notice is this weekly level right here. Resistance, support, resistance right here, and then support, support. So those are all the obvious levels. I'd say for now, as long as we hold on to the trend, you should slowly grind higher, but it's very choppy. If we lose the trend, there's a very key support around 70 to 71. If you lose that, you're losing daily and weekly support. So you could come back down to like 62. Let's see if there's any pivots. Oh, we actually had this drawn out already. There you go. So we had the 200 EMA at 76, and then we have a pivot around 54. So if you lose the trend, probably go down to the pivots. What do I think about PLBY? What is this? Not familiar with this one. Oh, is this Playboy? It is breaking a daily pivot at 39.65. So if you can stay above that pivot, you could have some targets around 43 and 48. Break below the pivot, very obvious target around the gap fill. You said, why is SPY only 1/10 of the S&P? General question only for general. Why is SPY only 1/10 of the S&P? Not sure what you mean. Do you mean, is SPY only 10% of the weight of itself? SPY is the S&P. Oh, you're asking why is SPY 1/10 of ES? Because ES is 4,700 and SPY is 469. I'm not entirely sure where they derive that pricing from, so I can't tell you off the top of my head. I've never really looked into it. It might have something to do with the contracts, but I'm not sure off the top of my head, to be honest. From your point of view, Bitcoin has enough volume to go to continue. Is that what you're asking? Let's take a look. Scary thing about Bitcoin here, and this is very typical actually, the sell volume is much higher than the buy volume. And that is almost always the case. It goes back to what I was talking about yesterday, where shorting is a lot easier than longing if you get the proper entries, because it just cascades so much faster. So we can see that almost every single sell-off, like look at all these spikes in volume, they're all sell-offs. So almost every single time the sell volume is going to be more than the buy volume on those red and green candles is what I mean. So yes, I would say the buy volume here is not too bad. I would like it to be above relative. Relative volume is 5.75. The current volume is only 4.88. If you could get above relative, that would be better. I honestly don't care too much about the volume in this instance, like the volume time-wise. I would be much more inclined to look at the volume price-wise, like the volume profile, right? Like if we look at the volume profile for this recent price action, we are reclaiming a very important level, this node right here. So if we can stay above 57.5, then I think we can continue. If it starts to lose 57.5, it's most likely going to go back down to like 54.5. You're still holding that short on what, EGLD? Let's take a look. Or I think you're talking about something else. This is a disgusting chart. I know we've been talking about this for the past few weeks. You guys keep bringing it up on stream. Look at this trend line. That has to be one of the cleanest trend lines I've ever seen. Look at how well it's respecting that trend line. That's actually disgusting. Yeah, so locally, we can take a fib here from this local move if we want to look for targets. So we could grab the low, we could grab the high, and then this would give us our extended targets. So we have 391, 404, 444, 457, etc. If it pulls back below the breakout point, then you're probably going to retest the trend for the 1,000,000th time. Yeah, so Gavin, there's a few tricks, and we actually have Black Friday coming up. So I would recommend waiting to buy. If you're going to buy like an annual plan, always do it on Black Friday. But there's a couple of other tricks. If you do the trial, this is for new people who don't have an account. If you do the trial, it will give you discounts throughout the trial. And once you get to the end of the trial, it will give you like a 50% off usually. If you already have an account, if you go to cancel, it will ask you, why are you canceling? If you tell them you're canceling because it's too expensive, they'll give you a discount. I think the last time I did that, it was like a 30% or something. It wasn't like too much. But if you guys want the Black Friday deal, they typically start next week. So you can either wait a week and not sign up for anything, or you can sign up for a month, and then when it comes to Black Friday, you sign up for the Black Friday deal, and it just extends your monthly. I'm talking about TradingView. Yeah, never pay full price for TradingView, guys. There's a lot of tricks you can do to get discounts. Yeah, I actually don't give people my affiliate link for TradingView because I don't really care enough, to be honest. I don't think I really get much out of it. I think it gives me like $20 or something. And it has to be like when you're signing up for an account. I don't think it works when you're renewing. Yeah, that's usually their only deal, is the Black Friday deal, I believe. They pay 30%? You mean to affiliates? I thought they only gave you like a $20 like what's it called? TradingView coins or some shit. I don't even know how to give you guys my TradingView. Probably under here. It says get up to $30 for every friend you refer. I think they only give you $30. Which I'm not too worried about, $30. So. But there's my link if you guys want to use it. To be honest, how much I use them on stream, they should be giving me a free account, but I've never asked for it. I'm sure if I asked, I probably would get a free account. Using them on stream every single day, 5 days a week. I probably have more hours using TradingView on YouTube than almost any other streamer. Little weakness here on SPY going into the close. Gotcha, fortunate. Yeah, I'll look into it. I think the thing with TradingView, the same thing with like Coinbase and Robinhood. I never shill my Robinhood link or my Coinbase link because I feel like every single viewer already has Coinbase accounts or Robinhood accounts or TradingView accounts. You know, with stuff like Quant Tower, you guys have never even heard of Quant Tower for the most part, so it's really easy for me to post my referral link in that case. Yeah, exactly. Fortunate. Like in the trading space, TradingView is probably the most well-known platform outside of like TD Ameritrade. I would almost argue that TradingView is probably more well-known than Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim was like the number one platform for the longest time. In what sense, Andre? What do you have an issue with? Mine's run pretty clean, to be honest. One of the only issues I had was something that Sticky ran into as well. Sometimes it'll move to another monitor, and it's a pain in the ass to get all your stuff to move back to the other monitor. You said, is order flow very important along with volume profile, or isn't required for swing traders? I would say it's definitely not required for anybody, period. But if you're trying to scalp very short term or even like intraday trading, it is extremely useful. It's not as useful for multi-day swing trades. You can still use it. I talk about that in my old ExoCharts videos, I believe, like using the volume profiles of the weekly and the monthly and seeing kind of where we're reacting to these levels. You can use it on a longer time scale. But I'd say it's much, much more useful for intraday traders. So if you're not an intraday trader, you're going to get some information, but it's not going to be like extensive trading information, tradable information, I should say. Can I take a look at DOT? Let's take a look. First thing I see is we are retesting a key support. We have a very key support right here being retested on the previous high. The next level that I see is right around here, where we have that high turning into that low, now turning into resistance again. Let's see. Next thing I see is this trend, which is a perfect retest. And that's pretty much it. So you could say, as long as we hold on to the trend, as long as we hold on to the support, you should be slowly climbing back into around 45. Break 45, you want to look for around 51. If you break the trend, your next support would be somewhere around there, around 35, and then probably around 31. And let's see what our indicators are saying. Yeah, so 31 lines up with the 200 EMA. This pullback lines up perfectly with this pivot here. You're holding on to that pivot. That's beautiful. And then we have the pivot right there around 54 as well. Gavin, I have not published any of my options videos on YouTube. They are all Discord exclusive. I will probably publish them like later down the road, but for the time being, all of my options related content will be Discord exclusive. It's one of the perks of joining the Discord. Yeah, I do that a lot, Andre. All of my charts are bound to the same color on Quant Tower. Yeah, the closing on SPY is definitely not pretty. We're closing pretty weak. Closing below VWAP is definitely not pretty. Oh, Andre, I didn't know that. So you can, okay, so that's what bind is. Gotcha. So when you bind them all to the same thing, when I move one around, it moves them all around. That actually makes sense. I was actually wondering what the difference was with the colors and the binding. I did notice when you open up Quantary, you have like that. It's like the terminal. Like you have the terminal on the top or on the bottom, wherever it is, and then every other little chart is just like an addition to that terminal. If you drag the terminal itself to another monitor, it will drag all of your charts. It's just a problem of clicking on the terminal and getting it to move because there's so many buttons on that toolbar. Facebook closing a little weak. SPY, Qs. Qs not too bad. IWM, Dow, a little weak. Let's take a look at how the volume closed. Remember I told you guys if we didn't get a lot of volume, this was going to be... Okay, we did actually. There was a lot of volume today. So if we didn't get a lot of volume today, it was setting up to be the lowest volume week of the year. But there was a big influx of volume today, so that fixed that problem. So a little nasty close, actually. It's a kind of a swing failure. We tried to break out and then closed weak. So if we don't see a strong reaction on Monday, this could be a bloody Monday, Tuesday. But all right, guys, I'm not going to hold you. I appreciate you guys being here. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will be streaming Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, and I will be putting the weekly watch list on the YouTube on Sunday around 4 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to check that out. If you guys are new to my content, make sure to subscribe. Like I said, I stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We do a weekly watch list every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. If you guys are looking to learn more, if you want to have more of a one-on-one environment, or you want to join our trading community, make sure to check out the Discord, oasistrading.io/Discord. That's all I got for you guys. You guys enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.